Welcome to episode 229
of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak life, encouragement, and truth into the minds and hearts of educators and get you energized for the week ahead. Today, I'm kicking off season 14 of the podcast with an update on my summer and a look at what's ahead for Truth for Teachers. Visit truthforteachers.com to get an easy-to-read, easy-to-share version of this podcast episode. Before we begin, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Planbook has been the established leader in online lesson planning since 2010, offering collaborative lesson sharing, flexible administrator access, and even student view tools for just $15 a year. This is the tool that I recommend to all the members of the 40-Hour Teacher Workweek program, and I've seen thousands of them use this tool successfully. Planbook helps educators build customized school years, classes, and lessons 100% online, directly inputting class materials and up-to-date standards from all over the world. Enter code TRUTH at sign-up to join over 800,000 Planbook teachers today and get your first year for only $5. Scholastic Scope is the easy way to keep your middle school ELA lessons fresh and engaging. All year long, your class receives new stories and resources in the format of your choice, print, digital, or both. Your students will love reading Scope's thrilling stories, discovering new genres, watching amazing videos, and writing about everything they've learned. And you'll love that every Scope story and activity builds core ELA skills, from summarizing to synthesizing. Visit scholastic.com/scope to learn more, and use code 2021 to save 20%. Did you know that it's possible to get a master's degree for under $8,000? Check out the Midwest Teachers Institute. Their classes are developed by teachers, so they're practical and relevant, with both degree options and individual graduate courses for salary advancement and state recertification. Get an extra $25 off your first order by visiting midwestteachersinstitute.org/truth. That's midwestteachersinstitute.org/truth. Thank you for supporting our sponsors. You can also click through to them from the link in the show notes. So, Truth for Teachers is back for season 14, and I have got some incredible things in the works for you. I'm going to tell you all about it in a moment, but first, I want to do something that I don't normally do on the podcast, and that is fill you in on what's been going on with me personally since the previous season ended back in May. So if you're brand new here and this is the first episode you're listening to, sorry about that. Please indulge me. I'm not usually this chatty. So this has not been a particularly restful or fun summer for me, but it has been incredibly productive. And given how low my capacity was for getting things done throughout the first year of the pandemic, I am honestly pretty thrilled to just be accomplishing mundane things around the house that have been on my to-do list for a long time. I've also really been catching up on work, and that feels really good too. I spent the first half of the summer working a lot, actually. This is one of my primary busy seasons as an educational consultant. And we successfully kicked off another cohort of the 40-Hour Teacher Workweek program. I was also able to bring to life the 40-Hour Instructional Coaching Program with Nicole Turner, and we are helping coaches to take back their nights and weekends. So it feels really amazing to be able to offer that, given how long folks have been asking me for it. And we also introduced the 40-Hour Leadership Program to help school administrators streamline systems and processes school-wide so that principals can support their staff in better work-life balance. I'm really, really pleased with the outpouring of support that we've gotten for that, because I think this coming school year is the time for reevaluating the way that we think about our workloads and try to create more sustainable approaches for moving forward. So I'm really looking forward to supporting these innovative school leaders who share that vision, and I will definitely come back and share some of the practices that they have experimented with so that maybe it's stuff you can do in your own school, even if your school leaders didn't join the program. So if you missed any of this, it's not too late. Go to 40htw.com to learn more about any of those programs. It's 40htw.com. So that was the first half of my summer, basically. It's like all 40-hour all the time. And then, without really intentionally doing it, I wound up going full swing into house projects. So I'm pretty cagey about sharing personal details about where I live for privacy reasons. There's just a lot of very creepy people on the internet, and I'm super protective. I don't post pictures of my home usually. I don't post vacation pictures till after I'm back. I'm just very cautious about that sort of thing. But I will say, back in 2013, we bought a little cottage in the mountains that's about 2 hours outside of Brooklyn, which is where my husband is based. And over the years, I have increasingly spent more and more time here in this house. It's in the middle of nowhere. We're surrounded by forest, and I have slowly developed hobbies that revolve around this environment. So hiking, moss gardening, foraging, wildlife spotting, all these kinds of things. It's very peaceful. It's quiet. It's a great place to create and to write. It's just my favorite place to be. It's also an older home that feels like it always needs work done. And my husband and I have always been city folks living in apartments and condos prior to this. This is my first single family home. So we have a big learning curve, even though it's been since 2013 that we've had this home, it still feels like there's just always something new that we have to fix. And it's very difficult to get contractors to come out because of the remoteness of the location. That was true before COVID. It's even more true now. So after a very, very, very long wait, we finally had someone agree to come out and paint our house and do some repairs to the wood siding and just get everything this fresh coat of paint inside and out. Well, that turned out to be a whole process. It took several weeks. And the new paint was the first domino in a set where once you change one thing, it leads to the next and then the next. So I've just been leaning into that. That's just what it is right now. Small house tweaks, little upgrades, little bits of redecorating, changing things around. And it's really been the perfect time because I literally have no other plans. I am not traveling. I'm not doing very many social things. I'm pretty much home all the time by choice. I'm happy here right now. And it just feels like things in the world are just sort of chaotic and not running very smoothly at the moment. Everybody wants to get back to normal, but we're just not there yet. Just staffing shortages being one tip of the iceberg that I'm just let me just opt out of all of that and just stay home. So that's kind of what my summer has been like. That was my month of July. And now that we're into August, I'm kind of wrapping up a lot of house stuff. We're spacing things out now. We've done some of the big things, and then I think we've got a manageable plan for the rest. So my attention is going to be turning back to work a little bit more. And as we go into August, my next focus is on Truth for Teachers. So for the first time ever, I have recorded all the interviews for the entire podcast season in a single batch over the course of 5 days. All the interviews within 5 days. So the content is almost entirely lined up already for the whole season, which feels so good. I love being ahead. And I also love seeing how all the pieces fit together, because I know the content of each interview, I know how to space them out and make sure that this person's interview complements this one. And, I just love that kind of thing. And the reason that I was able to do that is because all my guests this season entirely consist of new writers for the Truth for Teachers collective. So I announced this back in the spring. If you missed it, my vision is to expand beyond just a podcast. That's what Truth for Teachers has been since 2015. I have a corresponding blog post with transcripts for each podcast episode. So we do have that already, but I really wanted to expand into a bigger collection of written articles and downloadable resources. And I wanted them to be composed not just by me, because I'm one person, right? I have a limited amount of time and energy, but also I have a limited amount of experience and expertise. I really wanted to bring in teacher experts who can talk about the things they're experiencing right now in their classrooms and what's working with their students. So in mid-August, we're going to be changing over my old website, which is thecornerstoneforteachers.com, to be updated and rebranded. It's getting a whole new look for truthforteachers.com. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about why in a minute. We hired the team of writers earlier in the summer, and we began publishing their posts with new content coming out twice a week now. So every Wednesday and every Sunday, we publish something new. We started that in July. So there's lots of new articles and resources at truthforteachers.com, in addition to just the podcast. And secondary teachers, you are going to especially love this new edition because I've got a bunch of high school teachers sharing ideas. I always try to pick guests and topics that appeal to a wide range of teaching contexts from K to 12. But I do hear from time to time from podcast listeners that they feel like there's a bigger focus on elementary teachers. I don't intend it to be that way, but it's probably just my own bias because that's my background. And also there's just more elementary teachers practicing than there are secondary teachers. Like there's just more elementary. So while I don't think that folks who teach younger students are going to feel left out this season or feel alienated in any way, I do think that secondary teachers are going to feel especially seen and heard. And I'm really excited about connecting you with some of these awesome middle and high school teachers I found. So here are some of the episodes that are coming up. We're going to be talking about the most powerful tool for building a respectful and inclusive class culture. That's going to be next week, as a matter of fact. Another teacher is going to share how she differentiates communication for families. So you know how some folks want all the information and some parents like, just tell me the most important stuff? She's going to share how to do that without burning out. I have an interview with a teacher who's talking about how to incorporate more playfulness into your lessons, even at the secondary level. So you and your students are having more creative fun together on a daily basis. I've got a teacher sharing some incredible tips for making data meetings actually valuable instead of a very frustrating waste of time. She is brilliant. Wait till you hear these tips. I've got a teacher who is debunking some myths about teaching English language learners that is going to make it so much easier to support them. And I have a teacher who's talking about some really simple ways to meet the needs of neurodivergent learners without having to create 10 different versions of every lesson. So those episodes are going to really help you simplify your lesson planning. I've got an interview with a teacher talking about boundaries and locus of control, and a teacher who's talking about how to reclaim your weeknights and make the most of your evenings instead of just waiting for the weekend to do things you enjoy. There's also going to be an episode on 7 shifts that you can make in your grading that I honestly believe will be transformative for every teacher listening. There's some good surprises that I'm going to sprinkle into the season for you as well. I'm not going to tell you everything. And then the last episode of the season is going to talk about how you can join me for a sabbatical in December. So if you want to, over your holiday break, whatever amount of time your school gives you to have off, we can create some truly restorative practices that allow us to disconnect in December from everything education and school related, so we can come back in that first or second week of January feeling really refreshed. Now, embedded in all of these episodes with all these different teachers that I'm talking to is a shared mission. And I was really intentional in the application form for Truth for Teachers writers about the worldview that I hold and trying to find teachers who represent diverse backgrounds and teaching experiences while still sharing a core set of values. And when I began doing the podcast interviews with some of the writers, I was really struck by how different they are from each other. Like some of these personalities are like complete opposites. Their teaching styles are so different, but they're all so committed to approaching teaching through a very human-centered, compassionate, intentional, inclusive, mindful lens. And it was so cool to talk with them and just hear the way that they've learned from me on the podcast, on the blog, my books, 40 Hour, and so on. Like I could hear how my thinking has influenced theirs and how they've taken those ideas and the ideas of others and their own experiences and truly made everything their own. Like I learned so much from these interviews and like just the unique perspectives they have on these topics that I feel like I've covered a gazillion times. It's amazing how many like new things there still are. I was honestly blown away by the depths of those conversations. It was so energizing for me. So I know it's going to be energizing for you to listen to. So that leads me to why I'm changing over my old site from the Cornerstone for Teachers to truthforteachers.com. The site was only called The Cornerstone because that was the name of my first book back in 2008. I was getting married. I was choosing to take my husband's name. So my original URL that I created back in 2003 was misspowell.com. So that wasn't going to work anymore. My name was changing. I needed a site. That was the name of the book. So Cornerstone for Teachers it is. But I'm a very different person than I was in 2008. And the world is a very different place. Teaching is very different. And as a person who enjoys discovering each new evolution of myself, a person who enjoys constantly learning and growing, I really wanted my site to grow along with me. So I'm going to share our mission statement and core beliefs with you in a moment because I think it's fire, honestly. And I think it's going to get you so pumped up, not only for the new Truth for Teachers resources, but also for your own work ahead this school year. I think it will help you sort of solidify your vision too. But I want you to know before I read it, I don't require your full agreement. We don't have to see eye to eye on everything for you to be part of this community. The reason that I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to understand the deeper vision for what I'm trying to do here. And I'm urging you not to stick around just to look for things that make your life better or easier, but to be here to learn how we can make the world better for everyone. To think about how the things that I'm sharing with you fit into a broader scope of work and ways of showing up in the world. If you love this teacher agency stuff, and that's why you follow me, know that that really can't be separated from other forms of agency and advocacy. So I'm changing the name and the description and the mission of my site to better reflect all that I'm wanting to do here. Every now and then, someone will actually message me and quote back to me the tagline on my Facebook page and tell me, this is supposed to be about practical tips that make teaching more effective, efficient, and enjoyable. This is beyond that. This is not why I follow you. So what I'm going to do is change the description of the page, change the description of the site to be much more encompassing of what I want to talk about. And then folks have the choice. Now you know what this is all about. And honestly, I feel a lot more comfortable knowing that people are aware of that when they're following me. Because, if I'm going to be 100% real with you, I kind of feel used by some folks. I feel like some folks stick around just for the pieces that are going to make their life better or easier. And then they give me a really hard time when I'm advocating for a person or organization or group of people that doesn't represent their interests. They just want the pieces that work for them and they really don't care about the rest of it. And it kind of feels crappy. I'll be honest about it. For people to just follow me, because they want paper organization tips. I don't really care if your papers are organized. That's not what this is about. What matters to me is that you can find the materials you need quickly and easily so that you're not frazzled. And then you're able to show up for students the way you need to. What matters to me is having your papers organized in a way that makes sense to you and easy to maintain so that you can leave work at a decent hour and go do other important things, including taking care of yourself. What matters to me is that you show up in the world as the most healed, healthy, whole version of yourself. Because if we can all show up in the world as the best version of ourselves, the world will be a very different place. And that's really my deeper motivation that I've been working toward over the past 6 or 7 years. And it is inextricable from the systems that I create. The practical ideas that I share are rooted and grounded in all of those things. So if you just want teacher tips, there are plenty of folks out there who will not ask you to think this deeply, who will never challenge your perception of the world, who will not ask you to unpack your limiting beliefs or your biases or your assumptions, who will never do any kind of personal development work with you at all. They will keep it 100% on professional development and fun, effective teaching ideas. Know that I respect those people, but I am not one of those people. And know that when I do give you practical teaching resources and systems to streamline your workload, I have a much deeper motivation that's driving me, and it feels good for me to know that folks using my system appreciate that. They see that. They align with that. And that's a big part of why I'm changing my website to Truth for Teachers. The tagline is going to be Real Talk from Real Educators. And we're going to be a community of educators dedicated to speaking honestly about the realities of K-12 education. And we're talking about it all. And we're not just keeping it light and fun and positive and happy all the time. So that's not really a change from what we've been doing recently. I'm just now taking the time to really articulate this, to put it into words, to center these beliefs in the work that we do, and to do so unapologetically. So the encouragement, motivation, and practical teaching strategies that you'll find on Truth for Teachers are grounded in the following shared values. We believe that classroom teachers have a unique and essential expertise that must be centered in discussions about education. Decisions about teaching should not be made without teachers. So we use our platform to amplify the voices of classroom practitioners. We seek out a diversity of perspectives and honor the wide range of experiences teachers have in K-12 schools. We focus on teachers in the United States, but we welcome and learn from the voices of educators around the world. We encourage them to speak openly and transparently about all they're experiencing. We believe in the relentless pursuit of truth by uncovering history, facts, and experiences that have been obscured or whitewashed. We look to see whose perspectives are missing from common narratives and how that's shaped what we believe is true. We are constantly learning and growing and sharing that process with other educators. We believe that who teachers are matters just as much as what they do. Therefore, we focus not only on professional development, but also personal development. We delve deeply into topics of mindset, unpacking personal bias, habits for strong mental health, and overall teacher well-being. The goal is to provoke self-examination and help educators be the best true version of themselves. We work to be inclusive, but we aren't afraid to take a stand on divisive issues when needed. When deciding whether to tackle a controversial topic or a divisive topic, our guiding question is, who benefits if we choose to stay silent about this? We stand with folks in the margins and work for justice, accountability, and equity. We believe in a humanized approach to education, addressing not only the needs of the whole child, but the whole teacher. The physical, emotional, and mental well-being of both children and educators is our central concern. It does not come secondary to academic goals. We believe the status quo is not best serving the needs of teachers or kids, and push one another to reimagine what's possible. We do not believe in martyring ourselves to meet impossible expectations or overburdening students with irrelevant assignments and excessive testing. Instead, we support teachers in focusing on what makes the biggest impact for kids and setting boundaries on how much time they and their students dedicate to less impactful tasks. We believe there's a huge overlap between what's best for kids and what's best for teachers, and we work to offer solutions that serve the best interest of both. Kids learn the most from happy, supported, balanced teachers, so we reject the tendency to pit teachers' needs against those of students, and instead we look for the alignment between their needs. We believe teaching is inherently impacted by the larger political, cultural, societal, and institutional frameworks that our schools operate within. So we don't shy away from discussing current events, and we work to inform and equip educators to navigate systemic challenges. We believe that a free, high-quality public education is not only the right of every child, but essential for the greater good of a nation. We respect parental choice and support teachers working in private and charter schools. We also have a deep passion for strengthening our public school system through equitable learning conditions for kids and sustainable working conditions for educators. We actively look for solutions that make teaching more effective, efficient, enjoyable, and equitable. We seek to help teachers find a sustainable approach to their work in order to maintain their enthusiasm and creativity. We support them in identifying practices that make the best use of class time and help meet the needs of all students without burning out. We believe our mission is up for questioning, but not up for debate. We invite healthy discussion initiated in good faith for the purpose of clarification. We encourage pushing one another's thinking to include additional perspectives. And we welcome all educators in this space. In the interest of cohesion and forward progress, we focus on the needs of educators who share our core values. We do not compromise the work of our community to center the perspectives of those who are disinterested in or opposed to our goals. If you feel energized and excited after listening to this, then you've found your community of educators. Buckle up because we have got an amazing, invigorating season of episodes ahead. Please tell like-minded educators about truthforteachers.com. That's a great way to support the work. If you've never left a review of the podcast on iTunes, know that this helps a great deal too. We have got a pivotal school year ahead of us, And together, we're going to be pushing our schools in the directions they need to go. Thank you for being part of that work in your school and your local community. That is an absolutely essential component of the change that needs to be made. And thank you for seeing, valuing, and supporting my work. We can do this. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it.